Hylophobia, the fear of forests. It is classified as a specific phobia under anxiety disorders. The term comes from the Greek hyl, meaning forest, and phobos, meaning fear. The condition causes intense anxiety when thinking about or entering wooded areas. In early human history, forests were associated with danger. They were home to predators, poisonous plants, and unknown threats. Navigation was difficult due to limited visibility and no clear paths. People frequently got lost or disappeared in dense woods. Ancient myths often portrayed forests as places of exile, magic, or death. They featured in folklore as domains of spirits, witches, or monsters. In many cultures, forests symbolized lawlessness or the edge of civilization. Reports of unease in forests continue into the modern day. Some individuals describe feelings of being watched without reason. Auditory hallucinations such as footsteps or whispers are common under stress. Visual distortions may occur, especially in low light. Hylophobia is distinct from general discomfort in nature. It presents as a focused, disproportionate fear of wooded environments. Thanatophobia. Thanatophobia is the fear of death or dying. The term comes from the Greek thanatos, meaning death. It often begins in adolescence or after a traumatic event. The fear may focus on the process of dying or what happens after. Some fear pain, loss of control, or the unknown. Others fear non-existence or separation from loved ones. Symptoms include panic attacks, dizziness, numbness, and obsessive thoughts. It often worsens at night or during illness. Thanatophobia can lead to avoidance of hospitals, funerals, or aging discussions. Religious beliefs can either reduce or intensify the fear. Unlike existential anxiety, thanatophobia is more intrusive and disruptive. It is not uncommon, especially in health-related professions or during global crises. Trypanophobia. Trypanophobia is the intense fear of medical needles. It goes beyond mild discomfort or dislike. Some individuals faint at the mere sight of a syringe. The fear can be so strong it overrides logic. People may avoid essential medical care or blood tests. Even during the COVID-19 pandemic, many refused vaccines. For them, fear was stronger than the threat of infection. Among children, cases have surged over the past decades. In 1995, about 25% of children reported the fear. By 2012, that number had grown to 65%. Pain isn't the root cause, it's the loss of control. The idea of being pierced, immobilized, and scrutinized. Many fear something will go wrong during the injection, an air bubble entering the bloodstream, a vein punctured incorrectly, a needle hitting a nerve. These scenarios are rare but vivid in the mind. Most fears are irrational, but the physical response is very real. Racing heart, sweating, dizziness, sometimes even loss of consciousness. Taphophobia. Taphophobia is the fear of being buried while still alive. The term comes from the Greek taphos, meaning grave. It was most common before modern medical standards. In the 18th and 19th centuries, premature burial was a documented fear. Cases were reported where people were buried in comas or deep unconsciousness. Doctors sometimes declared death without reliable proof. This led to the invention of safety coffins with bells, flags, or breathing tubes. Some were buried with ropes tied to the surface to signal movement. The fear was so widespread it entered law, literature, and religion. Writers like Edgar Allan Poe built entire stories around it. Taphophobia is now rare but still exists. It can occur after medical trauma, anesthesia, or panic attacks. Symptoms include claustrophobia, insomnia, and obsession with death. MRI machines and closed spaces may trigger it, though modern medicine prevents premature burial. Thalassophobia. Thalassophobia is the fear of deep, open water. Not swimming, not drowning, just the existence of a dark, unknown space beneath you. Most people think it's irrational, but it's not. Over 80% of the ocean is unexplored, and it's so deep in places that if Mount Everest were dropped into the Mariana Trench, its peak would still be over a mile underwater. People with this phobia describe a kind of sensory blackout. The panic doesn't come from what they see, but from what they can't. Shadows move below. They don't know if it's real or imagined. Even high-resolution images of the sea floor can cause panic attacks. And it's not just oceans. Some people can't even look into a deep pool. Claustrophobia. Fear of tight spaces. Claustrophobia is usually called a fear of enclosed spaces, but that's not the full story. It's more like the fear of no exit. Elevators, MRI scanners, underground tunnels, even locked bathrooms or crowded subway cars. The brain flips into survival mode. Breathing feels harder, even if the room is ventilated. Time stretches. You feel the walls closing in, even though they are not moving. 5 to 10% of people are affected, but many hide it. They take the stairs, they avoid basements. Some can't sit in the backseat of a car, because if something went wrong, they wouldn't be able to get out. Cynophobia. Fear of dogs. The word comes from the Greek kion, dog, and phobos, fear. It often starts in childhood after a bite or a chase. Some develop it just by witnessing aggression. Even photos or barking sounds can trigger panic. Symptoms include sweating, rapid heartbeat, and dizziness. People may avoid parks, streets, or homes with dogs. The fear applies to all dogs, even small or calm ones. Cynophobia can exist with PTSD or other phobias. Dog-related fears were more common during rabies outbreaks. The fear persists regardless of how dogs are viewed socially. Autophobia, fear of being alone. It is classified as a specific phobia in clinical psychology. It is not the same as loneliness. It is not caused by rejection or isolation. It is a fear response triggered by being without others nearby. The person may feel unsafe or vulnerable, even in familiar places. Symptoms can include sweating, nausea, and rapid heart rate. In some cases, panic attacks occur. People with autophobia often avoid being in a room alone. They may leave the TV on or keep their phone nearby. Silence can increase the symptoms. The fear is not reduced by logic or reassurance. It often begins in childhood but can appear at any age. Past trauma or neglect may be a contributing factor. Autophobia is sometimes hidden by constant digital connection. Notifications, messages, and sounds create a sense of presence. When that connection is lost, the anxiety returns. The fear is not about missing others. It is about what might happen when no one is there.